What is going on, FA Nation? John Member here with Keith Eister. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Playbook live show. We are looking at the Tuesday 10-game main slate here on DraftKings. Keith, man, how are we doing?
Doing well. Fun Tuesday. Nice little slate here. The pitching is actually pretty good on this one. Apparently, if your name is Chris or Christopher, you are breaking out in 2025. So lots of fun pitching to talk about.
Yes, for sure. Ownership, maybe less surprising where people are going today. We did kind of discuss what we felt like was going to be the chalk pitching on this main slate on the preview show. Needless to say, we were correct on that. Everybody going to Chris Bubic, going up against or Bubic, however you pronounce it there, going up against the Colorado Rockies. And then you have obviously a wildly mispriced Bailey Ober still under $7,000 going up against the Chicago White Sox. Been a punching bag team for us this year. Looks like the rain that potentially could be impacting Kansas City is going to be okay. So that game not really as something to worry about. We do have a couple of games that could see some rain involved here. That's St. Louis and Atlanta, along with the Dodgers and Cubs. So both of those games are expected to still play, even if they're either delayed to start or have to deal with some rain during the games. Of course, it's getting closer to the summertime in Atlanta, and they're always live for these pop-up thunderstorms here. But for me, pitching felt fairly straightforward when I saw the slate last night, but there are certainly some other guys in some really good spots today. Appreciate you guys who are tuning in today. We will go position by position if you're new, and we'll build a lineup here at the end of the show. Lou says he's all in on the Ober train. Yeah, you, me, Keith, and 40% of the field, and probably higher in single entries and cash games. We'll be playing some Bailey Ober here today. What's your take, though? What's your outlook? Is it as cut and dry as it feels like with pitching today, or do you have some sneaky plays that you're looking at?
It's pretty cut and dry. The top range is really strong. All the Chris's in the top range for sure. I think there are a couple interesting 8K arms that you could sprinkle in if you're making 20 plus lineups. If I was making 3 lineups, I probably don't get to the 8K guys. Ober is it's the most egregious price we've seen on DraftKings all season long so far.
Except when he was priced at $6,700 in his last start, right?
Yeah, but at least that was a tougher matchup. This is one of the best matchups in all of baseball, and they didn't move his price after he was successful in the tougher matchup his last time out. So just an egregious price on Ober. There is one sneaky name down there that I've had my eye on this season. I've kind of been waiting for the spot. If there was a different slate, then I definitely would have more exposure to this guy. Because Ober is right here in this range, it's going to be difficult for me to get as much exposure to him as I want. Ryan Feltner started the year incredibly. He got beat up a little bit his last time out. Couldn't find the strike zone. He was facing the Dodgers, so it's completely understandable. I'm going to give him a total free pass on that one. He's outside of Coors, and he's facing the Royals, who have been one of the worst offenses in baseball this season. Really, nobody outside of Bobby Witt has hit for anything in this Royals lineup. You factor in the Parker upgrade, this price, like I said, on a different slate, I would be willing to play Feltner at 40%. But because we have Ober, I don't need him all that often. Just wanted to highlight him for sure. The top range is so strong as well that I don't need to go here very often.
Yeah.
Bubic, the breakout for Bubic started back in 2023. He had 3 really great starts before he needed Tommy John surgery. He came back from Tommy John middle summer last year and was electric out of the KC bullpen. He has looked every bit that pitcher going back into the rotation. The control is a little bit off from where it has been throughout his career, but that's understandable coming off of Tommy John surgery. That's usually one of the last things that comes back from Tommy John. So I fully believe that Bubic is an upper 20s strikeout pitcher at this point. He had a 30% strikeout rate out of the KC bullpen last year. All of his underlying stuff looks great. Swing strike rate, the whiff rates on all of his pitches. Bubic is a legitimate strikeout pitcher at this point. He's no longer the 90-mile-an-hour lefty who just eats at the edges of the zone. He's going to go and attack guys. His fastball's up to about 93 now, and he has several good pitches that he mixes in as well. So I'm a full believer in Bubic. Chris Bassett has taken his game to a completely different level this season. Yes. I was blown away when I looked at the underlying stuff for Chris Bassett. He looks like a true 30% strikeout pitcher at this point as well. And he has not been that throughout his career. He's been about a career 23% strikeout guy. He's up around 33% this season. The swinging strike stuff and the whiff rates all match up with that as well. 14.5% on the swinging strikes. His sweeper has just been lights out, and he gets a Houston lineup that is full of righties that he's just going to dominate them with this sweeper. So Bassett is right there with Bubic for me. Top two arms on the slate. It's hard for me to pick a favorite between the two because I like them both a ton.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just kind of playing the ownership game, you can kind of make some pivots. Bubic is 48% from what I'm seeing right now. That it may adjust a little bit as we get closer to roster lock with some more data and information that kind of come around. But because he's there, like no one's penning up to get Chris Bassett. The thing with Bassett here is, like you said, the strikeout rate for him. We've never seen this before. He's only have 1 year in his career where he had a K per nine over 9, and that was 9.1 back in 2021 for the Athletics. His walks per 9 at 1.9, lowest of his career. He never had a walk per 9 below 2.2. Obviously, he's not giving up any home runs because he's not really giving up a lot of contact. Now, he's never been a big home run guy anyways, so not really a huge concern there. But lefties have been something that had given him, kind of a difficult time over the last few seasons. Now we're still working with a relatively smaller sample size here, but last year, 381 Wilbert allowed, 357 the year before that, 500 slugging allowed the last 2 seasons. Not the case this year. 299 Woba, 370 slug is pretty good still. Anything under 400, certainly respectable. A 2-1 xFIP against him, a 35% strikeout rate against lefties, when last year there's a 19% strikeout rate. His ability to dominate lefties is really what is going to, I think, spark like the career year that we're getting out of him. And we're, a Houston team that certainly has some guys in their lineup that we know can do some damage. Yordan Alvarez, Jose Altuve, Paredes, eventually like those Christian Walker will wake up. We like Cam Smith at the bottom of that lineup. But at least for now, Kevin Gausman was rolling him down last night until he ran into trouble in the 5th inning. He gave up hits to the 7, 8, 9. You're never going to live an inning when you do that. But for the most part, Houston's a team that has kind of struggled. A 23% strikeout rate, just a 285 WOBA. You're in tournaments today, and 50% of the field is playing Bubic. If you have the extra $100, play Bassett and see if the Rockies can, get into one, or if something happens with Bubic where he can't go deep enough into this game, because the strikeout rate for Bassett right now is just kind of insane there. So I do like both of those guys there. And then you mentioned, obviously, the Chris's. You have Sanchez, maybe the toughest matchup going up against the Mets right now. Obviously, Lindor is an absolute monster at this moment. They have Alonso. They have Juan Soto, Vientos, and Acuna is hitting the ball fairly well. But this is a guy who last year was not a big strikeout pitcher, and now all of a sudden is a big strikeout pitcher. So where does someone like Christopher Sanchez rank for you?
Yeah, he's a tick below Bubic and Bassett just because of the matchup, but the stuff from him has been incredible this season as well. Strikeout rate over 30%, like you mentioned. His changeup has been one of the best pitches in baseball. It's absolutely fooling everybody right now. He's been a successful ground ball guy in the past. He's been an above average starting pitcher for about 3 years now. He's always been able to get ground balls, but now we're seeing the strikeouts show up. Yeah. I mean, the matchup is not as good as the other two, but again, another pivot in this top range that I'm highly interested in.
Yeah, in this AKTR, I also like Jose Soriano going up against Pittsburgh. This is another guy, 12, 14, and 11 ground ball outs in 3 of his 4 starts. And the one start where he didn't have double-digit ground ball outs, he gave you 9 strikeouts instead. So he helped you with the fantasy production there. Pittsburgh this year, obviously O'Neal Cruz is starting to heat up, helps that lineup a little bit, but still almost a 24% strikeout rate, 209 batting average, and a 281 WOBA against right-handed pitching. I like Jose Soriano here in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is one of the guys I was talking about in the 8K range. The matchup against Pittsburgh looks really good. They've been brutal on offense this season. The upside is what concerns me here when you have Bassett and Sanchez, guys like that, striking out 30+%. Soriano is not that guy yet. I mean, he struck out a bunch of guys in the minors. He has a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. There should be more strikeouts here, but he has not been that guy in the majors to this point. So I am a little concerned about upside, especially when he's close-ish to the other 3 guys that we talked about in price tag. So I like Soriano. It's a great matchup. I do have a little bit of concern about the upside, though.
Between Soriano and Ober, is there any other call outs for you in the 8 or 7K range?
The only other name that I have interest in on this slate is Brandon Pfaadt. I'm just a talented young guy who's still working to figure things out. Another guy who struck out a ton of people in the minors, but has not quite translated that to the majors. And even this year, his strikeout rate is below where he was last season. So probably not the slate that I go to Pfaadt, but if you're looking to get a little bit weird in the mid-range here, I certainly don't mind him.
Yeah, for sure. With Pfaadt, again, a guy that the peripheral numbers all like for the most part. His expected ERA this year, not great. 3.3 ERA, a 5.2 expected ERA, but still a 3.68 xFIP. So what's killing him right now is a home run ball. A 21% home run to fly ball rate is not going to get it done. Obviously Tampa Bay is in Arizona, so while it's not as good as playing in their home ballpark, Arizona has been known as kind of an offensive first park there. And lefties have been giving Pfaadt some trouble. A 5.16 slugging percentage, 4.72 and 5.34. The 3 years he's been in the league, dealing with Brandon Lau and Aranda and Meisner, and those guys certainly could be some trouble for Pfaadt. But on the other side, we've seen him have some success against tough lineups like Baltimore and Chicago this year. So could get it done if they can get a win and get them those win points. Could have a nice 20 plus fantasy point ceiling. I'm with you though. Ober is the obvious value, and we did mention Feldner on the preview show because you had the call out on him a few slates prior. Anybody pitches bad against the Dodgers, so I'm not really too concerned. To count that one out against him there. Anything else for you?
That is the entirety of my pool. Ronel Blanco is there. I don't like the matchup for him against Toronto. Jordan Hicks has been okay. Again, I don't think you need to go there with those names on the slate.
Yep, I'm with you. Going on to catcher. Again, we often kind of look for some value at this position. White Sox called up, one of their top catching prospects. We're going Ober, so it's not like we're going to really go Cuero here, but sometimes it's okay if you want to go value against your starting pitcher. If he gets a hit, he kind of pays it off. Where are your thoughts when it comes to the catcher position today?
I like the top range quite a bit. Logan O'Hoppe is one of my favorite bats on the slate. Falter is nothing special, 16.5% K rate against righties going back to last year. So I like the Angels a good amount. O'Hoppe should be in the middle of that lineup. I like him a ton. The guy I love today is Shea Langeliers. Patrick Corbin has somehow made it through 2 starts without getting absolutely blown up. This is a guy who's allowed 1.6 home runs per 9 for the last 4 or 5 years. So the Athletics look really good to me today. Maybe Corbin has figured something out in his move to the Rangers. I'm not going to count on that. I think this is the same guy we've been picking on for years. Langeliers has absolutely smashed lefties. I love him today.
Yep, I agree with you. And he's obviously getting the ownership here today as well. Everybody's kind of on that sack against Corbin at the catcher position. O'Hoppe is the 3rd highest catcher. Salvi Perez is actually in the mix there as well. I think you can go the catch on the other side of that game with Jonah Heim. Osvaldo Bido is a big fly ball pitcher. Righties have done more damage against him than lefties this year, but that hasn't always been the case over the course of his career. And again, no one's really getting to the Rangers here. Heim's only 6%. So I think you could go Jonah Heim tonight.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I like the Rangers side of this game too, and we'll talk about several of them as we progress through these positions here. One other guy I want to mention, Will Smith against Imanaga. Imanaga was incredible last season. I'm a Cubs fan. He's one of my favorite pitchers in baseball. He has not looked quite right this season. The strikeouts are way down. He's walking more guys than he did last season. He's always been a fly ball guy that gives up hard contact. Even going back to Japan, he was that pitcher. Home runs are a thing that can happen. So I will be chasing some Dodgers homers today. There is a little bit of weather in Chicago, so keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
But I don't mind Dodgers bats, assuming that the weather is good.
Yeah, if you guys tuned into the preview show this morning, I kind of called that out, and we probably spent 5 or so minutes on Shota's numbers this year. Not looking great. Again, last year he had a K per 9 over 9. This year it's 6.67. His walks per 9 last year at 1.5. It's at 3.1 right now, so almost doubling his walk rate. Dramatic drop in K per 9. He's kind of getting away. It's only 9% home run to fly ball rate, but a 90% left on base percentage because it's only a 180 BABIP. Against him, his 2.22 ERA is matched at a 4.86 xFIP and a 4.05 expected ERA. And the Dodgers are obviously like a scary offense for any team to sort of run a pitcher to kind of run up against. And now you're getting them, on today's slate as a whole, relatively unowned. I mean, Shohei always gets over 10% ownership. Tommy Edman will touch on at second base, always kind of at that price against a lefty will get some love, but everybody else in this lineup is under 10% today. So, you could get a Dodgers team, and in Chicago, we know what that stadium can be like offensively. They might end up as like the leader in total runs today. So I'm kind of with you there on the Will Smith shout out as well. Any other value plays for you, a catcher?
Salvador Perez, not a value play, but underpriced probably for what he is as a power hitter. I mentioned Feltner, and I have my eye on him. I think he's doing some good things, but Salvi Perez, you can play in any matchup. He's good for 2 home runs often. So
this is just the price on these Royals coming down because nobody's doing anything. Right. Yeah. So eventually they will turn it around, you hope. And when they do, you're going to take advantage of the pricing on them. At first base, again, a super expensive position, a lot of top end talent here. Ohtani, as we mentioned, is up here at $6,300. But he's the only one that's getting double-digit ownership of this top group. Soderstrom's only getting 5%. I get it's a lefty-lefty matchup for him. I like Josh Naylor a lot today. Like Zach Littell has been pretty horrific, and Naylor's been unbelievable. You're getting him, and almost nobody's playing the Diamondbacks today against Littell. I kind of like the mini stack you might be able to get with him and Corbin Carroll today. What are your thoughts sort of on the top half of this first base position?
Yeah, it's actually really strong. I like Ohtani, even lefty-lefty. He's never had a problem with platoon splits. Imanaga is also not a huge platoon split guy. He's pretty neutral when you look at the power numbers in the strikeout numbers. So Ohtani lefty-lefty is totally fine. Bryce Harper is a guy that I like quite a bit for tournaments. Griffin Canning has been better this year, but he's struggled with lefty power often in his career. We don't really know what Griffin Canning is at this point, so I'm willing to pick on him a little bit. Soderstrom lefty-lefty is a guy that I have a ton of interest in. The A's are probably my favorite offense on the slate. I do prefer the righties against Corbin, but it's still Patrick Corbin, and if he blows up and has one of his brutal starts, maybe he only lasts 2 innings and we get into the real early part of this Rangers bullpen. Soderstrom then looks great at that point. I love your Naylor shout out as well. He's been incredible. Littell is a guy who has struggled with lefty power. He looks really good to me.
No, 100%. I think the Diamondbacks game could be a little sneaky there. Jonathan Aranda, as I mentioned, fought really some trouble with the lefties. You have him at 47. Pavin Smith has been awesome at 46. Matt Olson starting to wake up a little bit. I mean, first base is really deep today, but ownership is going towards the value tier. Vinny Pasquantino, $3,800. We've talked about the struggling Royals, but people are getting to them. And then Josh Smith, all the way down here at $3,000. They gave him first base eligibility. Again, targeting this ballpark, if you go to StatCast and look at park factors, Suter Health Park is the second in park factor right now in runs scored, overall park factor ranking. We expected this ballpark to be very hitter friendly, and it is ranking higher than Coors Field right now in terms of hitter friendliness. So getting the Rangers in your lineup, getting Josh Smith at $3,000 today. This guy, they're just finding ways to get him in the lineup. He hasn't stopped hitting since last season.
Yeah, the Rangers are right up there with the Athletics as my favorite team on the slate. The matchup against Beto is really good. Beto's had some success early in his career, but it's pretty fluky. Yes. He has a fly ball rate north of 50%. His home run to fly ball rate is down around 4% for his career. That is not a sustainable number. He is moving from the Oakland Coliseum to Sutter Health Park that you just mentioned, which is a massive ballpark shift for pitching. And offense is going to be a lot more prevalent in that park than we saw out in Oakland. So I expect Beto's numbers to come down pretty significantly. That home run to fly ball wasn't sustainable, even if he stayed in Oakland. Now that his home park is out there in Sacramento,
Oakland last year was
he's going to give up some home runs.
In park factor, by the way. It was basically one of the worst hitter parks in all of baseball. And now it is the second best hitter park in baseball off the first 2 months of the season. So good luck to Osvaldo Beto today and the 50+% fly ball rate against this Ranger squad. Anything else for you for value? I mean, again, we mentioned Josh Smith. There is Berger down here at 27. He is bound to eventually, hit some home runs. Anything else that you want to highlight here at first? Not even value necessarily, but just along the way.
I like the Berger call. A guy with big time power. He's struggled a bunch. Looking back up towards the top, just some upside guys. Vlad Guerrero, you can play anytime. He gets a fly ball pitcher today, so I like him for a home run. Matt Olson is starting to pick it up a little bit. He's got a matchup against like a ground ball pitcher that doesn't strike many guys out. So I like those two power hitters.
Moving on over to second base, as I mentioned, Tommy Edman is your chalk play today. This guy, career ISOs against left-handed pitching are all over like 250. He had like a 470 ISO last year in like his 35 games that he played against lefties. It's over 300 this year. He already homered off Shota, I think it was this year as well. So like, play the chalk. Tommy Edman for me makes a ton of sense. You can obviously go other spots, Terang versus Hicks, Lau versus Fod. Brandon Stott's been unbelievable, moving him into the leadoff spot. But, 20% of the field's playing Tommy Edman today, and it feels like I want to be a part of that 20%.
Yeah, he's been absolutely incredible against lefties. His whole career, really, he's been the Dodgers' best hitter against lefties, and that's really saying something. Like Teoscar Hernandez absolutely crushes lefties, and Edman has been better than Teoscar Hernandez, better than Ohtani. There are some insane numbers attached to Tommy Edman's name when facing a lefty. So touched on Shota Imanaga's struggles here a little bit as well. So I can't disagree with the Edman ownership. I wish it was lower. Doesn't look like it's going to be. There are some interesting names to pivot to, though. I think you mentioned Lau, a guy I really like. Thought has had trouble with lefties. Stott also, you mentioned. I like him against Canning. Let's see here. Tyler Fitzgerald is really cheap. He's starting to come around a little bit. Gets a matchup against a lefty, so I don't mind going down there. Kyron Paris, I think, needs to be back in our conversation today. He has fallen off, as we kind of suggested he might. He's going to strike out way more than he was, and he's not going to have the home runs at the rate that he was hitting.
He only hit them in Tampa Bay. It's a minor league ballpark, so like
that's fair. I do think that there is more power here than he was more power than he displayed in the minors. Let's put it that way, which is not hard to do. But I believe in the power. He's going to strike out plenty. I do believe in the power, though. The matchup here is really good against.
Going against Bailey Falter here.
Who's he got there? Falter, who just doesn't strike anybody out. So I mentioned the strikeouts are a problem for him probably going forward. It's not going to be today. So I like Kyron Paris.
They got Nolan Gorman hitting third today. Obviously a lot of strikeouts, but a lot of power in that bat as well. They got an opener and they're doing a bullpen game here in Atlanta. So something to look for in that spot. They also, where's Keyshaw? Dude, they have Keyshaw hitting third today. I was big on him when he got called up. I was upset that in the preview show he wasn't in the player pool, and then they late added him at 2,500. I put him in day one. He gave you 17 fantasy points. This is a big contact first type infielder in the Minnesota organization. Doesn't have a ton of power, but does have some speed. He's got some gap power. If you're going to hit him third today against Martin, I really like that at $3,000. If you can play Edman in the outfield today. So if you wanted to spend down at second base, I'm going to go Luke Keyshaw at $3,000.
Yeah, I like that call a ton. I'm a big fan of the Twins today. Davis Martin is another low strikeout pitcher that is pretty attackable. So I like that call. Julian also, is he in the lineup? Need to double check that. Edward Julian,
he's leading off
for the Twins.
The unfortunate thing is they both have second base eligibility, so you kind of got to pick which play you want there. Travis says of the Mets in play against Sanchez, he thinks he's due to get cracked. Every underlying number suggests that Sanchez is not due to get cracked. He's just taken that next step in his evolution. That said, like, nobody's playing the Mets, so if you want to play tournaments and build a Mets stack today, you can. I don't know if this is the Mets stack I would go with, though. Trent Taylor, Starling Marte, and Mark Vientos. I would try to get a Lindor or something in there. Marte is well beyond washed. Vientos hasn't hit much of anything, and Trent Taylor's mostly a 4A player. So my bet would be that Sanchez would handle that trio and have a tougher time against an Alonso, a Lindor, something of that ilk there. Danger says he can't decide between Schwarber and Keyshaw or Albies and Adolis. Can we help today?
Yeah, Schwarber is one of those lefties that I really like against Canning, so I'm on the first side there slightly. Adolis is one of my favorite hitters on the slate as well. But you made some really great points about Keyshaw. I like his matchup, and I like Schwarber as kind of a sneaky lefty power.
Yeah, I think you'll get. I feel like your probably safer floor is the Schwarber Keyshaw play. Albies, he's really good against lefties. Power's hasn't always translated against right-handed pitching. They are going. Who are they actually? What's Atlanta? They're facing. Who's pitching for San Luis today? Why am I blanking on this? Piante. So right, so not a lefty, it's a righty. So like, I like Adolis as well because I think Vito's in some trouble today, and numbers against righties have been really bad this season. But I would lean the Schwarber Keyshaw if I had to go there. Anything else for you at second?
I think that covers
third base. We go. Austin Riley's up at the top at $4,800. He keeps hitting home runs. Don't really have any issues spending up there. What are your kind of key highlights here at third?
Yeah, Riley's been on fire as well. After struggling to begin the season, we commented on his price often. It's finally starting to adjust back up to where it should be. Gets the low strikeouts of Piante, who we just talked about. So I do like Riley a good amount. I think second is actually my preferred position to third today. It's just not quite as deep. But there are some names here that we can certainly talk about. Luis Rengifo is a guy who I like a good amount against lefties. He should be near the top of that Angels lineup.
Actually, we just got the Angels lineup out. Let's see. Rengifo is, my phone updates here, not in the lineup today. I know.
There's plenty of other Angels to like.
They got Kevin Newman playing third, Paris playing second, Nato hitting second, and we'll talk about him at shortstop.
Love that.
A lot of depth at shortstop. There's always a lot of depth at shortstop, but there's some guys that are not priced correctly at short. I like Josh Young. I think this was him or Josh Smith if you didn't play him at first. What are the two third base options for me again? To be redundant here, I like Texas against Osvaldo Bido. Young has kind of hit a little bit of a skid, but facing the Dodgers pitching staff sometimes will do that to you. Great ballpark, big power guy, a lot of fly balls out of him here. He'll strike out, but Bido's not a strikeout guy. So, I think Josh Young presents some big power upside today.
Yep, Josh Young was definitely a name I wanted to highlight. Just too cheap for what I think he is as a hitter. I like the matchup against a fly ball pitcher in a good hitter's park. So totally with you on Young there. Brooks Lee at the bottom of that Minnesota lineup. I like Minnesota today. I like him in a stack. Top prospect, hasn't really hit much so far this season. But if you're stacking Minnesota, I'd be fine punting with
yeah, they had the like 6-7 or 7-8 Keyshaw Lee stack, but they obviously they moved Keyshaw up to third, so I can't totally play that. But I also agree that Brooks Lee is a solid play. We had the Urias question if Luis Urias was in the lineup. He is a guy that does have some decent numbers against lefties. So if he starts today against Corbin, you want to get just any athletics exposure, then I'm not totally against it. Obviously, I think there are some other plays that I like in that game, but you can go. How many innings does Blewett get today? Well, he's the opener, right? So probably not a ton. I don't even see him on the slate as an option to pick. I don't know, a couple innings today. Nothing that I would like overly concern myself there. Let's get to shortstop though. Your top guys are Witt, Betts, Turner, and Lindor in terms of pricing. But we made a big commotion on the show this morning that Corey Seager at $4,300 just didn't make any damn sense. Still don't understand it. And for that reason, I'm just going to play him.
Yeah, the Bailey over of the hitter pool, right? Just an egregious misprice. Corey Seager's one of the best hitters in baseball. I know he struggled to start the season, but he's been on a tear here recently, a ton of multi-hit games. The power is coming around as well. Seager is awesome.
Yeah, I really don't get it. Only two shortstops up over 10% today. Bobby Witt and Corey Seager. Those are the two names. Zach Nato is only 6%, $4,000. This is another guy absolutely just smoked left-handed pitching last season. Already homered in that last game the other day, so he's starting to heat up. He killed it at AAA during his rehab stint. Nato hitting second today. If you're not playing Seager or you're trying to just again fade the ownership there, Nato might be number two for me in terms of picks.
Yeah, I agree with you. The top range is always really strong at shortstop, but Nato getting the bump up to second, that puts him right in line there with Seager for me. The numbers against lefty you touched on are incredible. So I'm with you. Price considered, I think it's Nato second for me.
Yeah.
Lindor has a tough matchup. He's been awesome. Betts is always playable. We've talked about Imanaga's fly balls there that you can try to pick on. Witt is the one that's getting the ownership, it looks like, in the top range.
Yeah.
Again, Feltner is a guy I believe in. I believe he's better than at least the field believes. So I'll probably be underweight on Bobby Witt. That's always a scary proposition. He's
hasn't hurt
incredible at
us yet,
baseball.
but always capable of a like 2 homer, 2 solo base game or something like that.
Yep.
Out of Bobby Witt. You go down here for some additional value. Jacob Wilson is a guy that I believe could win a batting title this year. He's like 70 great hit tool. You don't really see that. Hit 400 in the minors in his brief stint there last year. I've just been begging them to like hit him in the top half of the lineup. They've been hitting him like 6th and 7th. He'd be like their perfect leadoff or 2-man. Just get on base in front of the big guys and score some runs. But even then, multi-hit games and 3 of the last 4. No RBIs, no runs. That's kind of killing just sort of the ceiling production can be. But you get him back in a home ballpark. He's not a big power hitter, but his home runs this year have been hit in Tampa Bay and in Sacramento. So again, 2 smaller offensive prone parks. He's shown some power. Patrick Corbin, maybe they connect today.
Yeah, love that. He's not going to walk a ton, but if he's going to hit 350, who cares if he walks?
He doesn't strike out. He doesn't swing and miss. He has like ridiculous strike zone awareness, and teams just pitch to him in the strike zone. So like when it's in the strike zone, he's getting on base. It just he's insane. And I also found out today that his dad was Jack Wilson, former Major League shortstop, which I'm sure everybody else knew, but I was just doing some deep research. I was like, wait a minute, I know that name. Don here says he's going to stack Texas, wanted to know what other team to pair him with. You could stack him with Oakland or Sacramento or Athletics if you wanted to. Arizona, again, another team that I really like stacking, and I think the Dodgers could be sneaky. He's playing Bubic and Ober for large field. Yeah, you and 60% are on Bubic and Ober today. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's okay to be chalky with pitcher and just be different elsewhere. And if like nobody's playing the Rangers today, like there's your difference. Or nobody's playing the A's today, like there you can be different with. So all right. Anything else at shortstop for you?
Let's see. Oop, my screen reset on me. I think that covers most of what we needed to talk about there. Carlos Correa in the Twins lineup. Willie Adames hasn't hit for anything. He's cheap today, though.
Yeah.
Just 2 other names to throw out.
Yeah, Grande gave a shout out on Correa this morning show as well, starting to heat. And like you said, Davis Martin, just not a good pitcher. So, something you can target. Outfield, again, it's a 10-game slate, so there's a billion outfielders to talk about. The general strategy we have here is like figure out what your stack is of the day and then take the best outfielder. So if you're going Arizona, you'd play Corbin Carroll. If you're going the Dodgers, you'd play Ohtani and so on and so forth here. If you had a pick of the group, where are you building your lineup from?
If I have a favorite hitter on the slate, it might be Brent Rooker. Corbin Carroll's fantastic. Mike Trout's fantastic. Ohtani and Kyle Tucker, like all these guys are incredible.
Yeah.
But Brent Rooker, what he's done against lefties since he broke out a couple of years ago, massive power. Corbin has allowed so many home runs over the past 5 seasons that this is a spot that feels like a Brent Rooker home run or 2 for sure.
Yeah, I'm fully in agreement with you. I really like Corbin Carroll today as well. Again, Littell has not shown to be really much of anything this year. And no one's in on Arizona today. Carroll's 12%. That's like it for their outfield, their overall hitters today. No one else is above 5%. So, again, if you want to be different today, you can play Carroll. He's just getting natural outfield ownership, but in a stack, no one is in on this team today. So, and Littell is pretty bad. Go down under 5K range. I really like Teoscar. You mentioned the power numbers for him against lefties. You do a little Edmund Teoscar 2-3 stack today. I think that certainly fits. I think a lot of lineups here. What are your thoughts as we hit this 4K range?
Yeah, I love Teoscar just hunting a home run. I don't want to stack Dodgers too much. I'm fine playing 2 or 3 of them. I won't have full stacks because I do believe Imanaga's still at least an above average pitcher, even if he takes a step backwards from last year. But Teoscar looks amazing. Buxton looks really good against Davis Martin. Again, a strikeout guy against a really low strikeout pitcher is always a spot I want to attack. The Rangers.
Minnesota has a 5.2 implied run total for today. That is the highest, second highest, third highest on the board outside of that Texas A's game. So basically, everybody's implying Minnesota as a team that is going to score a lot of runs today.
Yep. And I like Trevor Larnach in that lineup as well. Twins are one of my favorite stacks today for sure. Yep. The Rangers, we've talked about the entire show. Wyatt Langford and Adolis Garcia both look amazing.
Jorge Soler's here against the lefty at 44.
Absolutely. Love the Angels today as well. Soler and Ward, even going down Joe Adell in that lineup that just came out recently.
Sure. Let's see. Is Adell in that lineup? Adell is in the lineup. Yep.
Beautiful. If you just look at the Angels numbers against lefties, they all look really good. Most of them have barrel rates above 10%, which is just like elite hard contact numbers.
Yep. I agree with you. Other value options for today. Obviously Christopher Morel always has some power if you're looking just at that ballpark in general. Verdugo has been good as a leadoff hitter at 34. If you think Atlanta continues to sort of ascend, you have him and the potential option for you. Larnach, someone called the Larnach bomb. Richard here. Again, Minnesota team that is expected to score a lot of runs today. Larnach and clean up at $3,100. Chandler Simpson's $3K. Good to have him leading off against a righty today. We know the stolen base elite upside for him there.
Fastest guy in organized baseball, probably.
In the world. Yeah. Again, I know you're not keen on full stacking Dodgers, and I get that. But excuse me, Pages hitting ninth. Yep. His strong split is against lefties. So if you think Emanaka may continue some struggles there, he's $2,900. Any other deep values for you?
Just super cheap stuff. Alan Roden is a guy I don't mind against Blanco. A fly ball pitcher, if he gets a hold of one, certainly there. Nice prospect, little bit of pop, platoon advantage there. So don't mind Roden as a punt.
Sure. I don't mind that either. The thoughts on a St. Louis stack versus the Atlanta bullpen. Listen, I like some of the bats in St. Louis here. Obviously, there's going to be some rain that could delay that game. I wish Brendan Donovan was playing. He's not. They got Gorman hitting third. Wilson Contreras to start to hit the ball a little bit better. I'm always a big on Lars Nootbaar. If you want to go with St. Louis, play against Atlanta today. Atlanta during the summer, spring months is a good hitting environment. No one's playing them in terms of ownership today, so you will get a rather low rostered Cardinals team. When I say nobody, I mean Nootbaar is their highest rostered player at 5% that I'm seeing right now. So you'll get a lot of single-digit ownership on the Cardinals if they go out there and score some runs today. Could be the difference maker for you in your lineup. So, all right, let's get a lineup built. Are we just plug and chalk, or do we want to do maybe a Bassett pivot and go with Ober here?
I like the Bassett pivot. I love Chris Bubich. I'm as big of a Bubich truther as you will find out there. I've believed in his breakout, as I said, going back to 2023. So I love Bubich. I don't love the ownership today is the only problem. I think Bassett is just as good at far less ownership.
I agree with you. Plus, we're gonna be eating some chalk here today at some of the other positions. So if we can get a little leverage play, that's certainly, I think, a spot for us here. Which catcher in Texas Athletics do you want to go? Would you rather go with cheaper Jonah Heim or a Shea Langoliers where 20% of the field is playing?
Let's start with Langoliers and see if we can make that work. We saved some ownership at pitcher, so let's go ahead and plug in the chalkier catcher.
We're playing Seager. I know that much.
Yep.
Second base was the position that we looked at. We had Tommy Edman at 41. We liked Luke Keyshaw. We like Minnesota. He's 3K. What are your thoughts at second for our lineup today?
Yeah, I like Keyshaw a good amount.
And Edman obviously can be in the outfield if we need him. So,
yep, let's plug in Keyshaw there, and we can move things around if we need to.
Okay, so we do Keyshaw. 4,500.
Rooker in the outfield is somebody I definitely want.
Okay.
And then if you want to go Wyatt Langford or Adolis Garcia next to him,
I like Wyatt.
Yeah.
And you want to do Buxton maybe? If everybody's kind of
Yep.
in Minnesota today.
Love that.
Maybe we do like Josh Young here at third. And that
Love
gives
it.
us 5K. 5K. We're so close to Soderstrom. And we're kind of like losing a lot of salary here. Let's see.
Vlad is probably the guy. If we're sticking with that, Vlad is the guy I would look at. Just missed Naylor, who you really like today. And
I know. I was going to say, if we did Naylor, I'm trying to figure out like where are the $100. I mean, if we went down
come off
Lang,
yeah, do that. That works too.
All right. So now we have a 4 Texas, a Rooker, Buxton, Keyshaw, and 1 off Naylor. We could, I mean, that gives us even more money. We could get up to Soderstrom if we wanted someone to pair up with Rooker here. But I mean, again, I really like Naylor today. So we'll go there.
Can you get up to Carroll from Buxton, maybe?
Let's see. If we did Carroll here, $900. Let's see. I don't think there's like another. If you got off Langford, is there 3,500 outfielder down here? Larnick.
I like Larnick.
Do a little 3-4 with Keyshaw, Larnick. That gives us Naylor, Carroll, Rooker, and a 3-man Texas stack.
Looks pretty good to me.
I like it. Ober, Bassett, Heim, Naylor, Keyshaw, Young, Seager, Rooker, Larnick, and Carroll with $400 left over for you guys. Again, just an example lineup. We showed you a few different ways that you can go. Alexander says who to put in the A's stack. I mean, the A's certainly can go a bunch of different ways.
I mean, Rooker and Langoliers are my clear 2 favorites, but I don't mind Soderstrom lefty. You made some great points on Wilson, who I really like and am intrigued by that for sure, especially a guy like that in a stack. If Oakland is going off, he's going to be on base. So I like Wilson in a stack a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I would say Wilson is your cheap shortstop. Then again, your issue there is obviously you're not playing Seager or Nato at short. But if they hit him second today, like if they show us Wilson's hitting second because a lefty's on the mound or something, I would bump him up big time today. So you can go Wilson, you can go Butler, Rooker, Langoliers. Obviously, then you have some lefty-lefty matchups with like Soderstrom, Bleday. Kurtz isn't going to play today. He could pinch hit. They expect him to play tomorrow, and they said he's not platooning. When he plays, he is our first baseman moving forward. So you do have that kind of advantage there. So, guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure you check out that playbook. We'll be back live later. Not live, but we'll have the preview show later today to get you guys ready for the Wednesday main slate. Until then, we'll talk to you later.